you've got some really important messages for Australians to share about the way we should be preparing for China's outlook into the future. Tell me, what should we be doing now to prepare for what's ahead?
The most important thing is to protect Australian society from what's going to happen in China, which means severing trade, investment, technical cooperation. And I know that that sounds extreme, but we got to remember that China's on the warpath. And if it invades Taiwan, Japan, the Philippines, or whatever, no one's going to be selling anything to China. So the time for Australia to diversify is now. The important thing for the United States is to do the same thing. Unfortunately, President Biden doesn't look at it that way. But the point is that China is pushing other countries away. It is undermining foreign business. And so we don't really have a choice. We've got to defend and protect ourselves.
One of the things that was a steep learning curve, I think, for Australians over the last 5 to 10 years is the idea that in the West, we often think of defence and commerce as two separate buckets that don't really mix. And in our interactions with China, we came to see that one is used as fair game for the other in the CCP's worldview. The adaptation, though, in Australia and the rest of the world seems to be quite slow. Does that need to be faster?
It needs to be faster. And, you shouldn't beat yourself over this because the United States is even slower than you guys. The point is that China is now moving back to totalitarianism. Xi Jinping demands absolute control and obedience from the Communist Party, and he demands absolute control and obedience of the Communist Party over the Chinese people. So they don't make distinctions between civil and military or between commerce and national defense. And we've got to understand the nature of that Chinese system in order for us to develop responses that make sense. Now, President Biden's trying to maintain this idea, well, American companies can invest into Chinese tech sectors if they're, quote unquote, civilian. There's this policy of military-civil fusion, which means that everything that a civilian company has can be directly pipelined to the Chinese military. So we need to understand the nature of China's unitary system.